This morning, I'm not sure why I had the idea to ask Copilot what audiophiles are struggling the most with. And the answers came back as high costs, industry gatekeeping, aging community, price inflation, and music accessibility. So in this short video, we're going to talk about each of those. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you are enjoying my videos. Thank you. So, Copilot says that audiophiles face several challenges in their pursuit of perfect sound. Here are some of the biggest struggles. And it lists high costs. Many audiophiles feel pressured to spend exorbitant amounts on equipment, sometimes receiving recommendations for gear far beyond their budget. True, and I would say that there is so much mid-fi equipment that is outstanding. Really good compared to, what was available at that kind of money when I was a kid. So you can get into good quality sound at a very affordable price. And the returns, like anything, right? As you double the money, you're going to get 10% better performance. So it does get expensive very fast. But I also will say that the cost of hi-fi is just out of control. It has become, there is so much really expensive, overpriced, in my opinion, equipment out there. And that bothers me. I'm always struggling with the prices of our products. I want them to be as affordable as possible and accessible to as many as possible so that they will enjoy their music more. And that's really what it's all about, and that's where I get my satisfaction. So another one is industry gatekeeping. And it says some high-end audio shops dismiss budget-conscious buyers, making it difficult for newcomers to access quality sound without breaking the bank. And yeah, we kind of discussed that. Again, when I was young, when I'm talking about when I got into hi-fi, I was a preteen. I rode my bikes to hi-fi shops, and the owners or sales guys. There were several stores: Pacific Stereo, Dimensions in Stereo. I can't remember some others too. I hung out with these guys. They gave me the time of day. They enjoyed sharing information and sharing music and the whole experience with me. And so they invested some time, and it paid off. As I grew older, I came back and bought equipment from them, and then bought better equipment from them. And I think that I'm generalizing that a lot of hi-fi shop owners dismiss that. They're looking for the short-term sale and not thinking about the long-term investment. So another is aging community. The audiophile demographic is skewing older, with fewer young people joining the hobby. This raises concern about the future of the audiophile world. We have noticed this at the trade shows, especially after COVID, and especially it seems in the West, we see a very aging group, or rather, we don't see many young people there. Not the case in Canada, not the case in Germany. We see a lot of young people there. One reason that we might be seeing that in other younger people in other areas is because the show sponsors are addressing attracting younger people. At the I think it was at Ontario show. There's a university professor that has he reached out to me, and when he heard I was going to be exhibiting at the show, and was asking, how to get tickets. He uses a lot of my videos and articles and so forth in his class and at university. And so I said, well, just reach out to Michelle or Sarah, who sponsor these, who organize these shows. And next thing I know, he shows up with about a dozen of his students, and they gave him passes for free to attend. Well, shoot, these students, they had never been exposed to high-end audio. And who knows what'll happen as a result of it. But now they have been exposed to high-end audio and experienced it where they hadn't before. Those kinds of things are what we need to keep this industry going. As you look at the crowds, especially in the U.S., they probably have already spent their money for the most part, and they're dying off, sad to say, and we don't have enough coming up to keep the industry alive. It's a huge concern for me and many others. Another struggle is price inflation. The cost of high-end gear has skyrocketed, making it harder for new enthusiasts to enter the space. And again, we've talked about this a little bit. When you're young, you don't have the money, and you've got other expenses, and you're trying to make ends meet. So in order to get into audio, you're going to have to buy some mid-fi gear. But the thing is the mid-fi gear is so much better than the mid-fi gear was decades ago. So you can get really good equipment, and then as you earn more money, you can step up from there. But I understand there is a lot of high-end gear that's completely out of reach of the younger people. And then another struggle is music accessibility. Audiophile grade recordings often feature obscure artists, true, that you're not familiar with, and that maybe you're not really into, so that doesn't help either. Obscure artists and genres, making it difficult for casual listeners to engage with the hobby. That is true, and there are some trade shows where, like Elliot Goldman of Bending Wave Audio, and he will play rock and roll, and sometimes the old rock and roll is you're familiar with it, and to hear it on a better system is a wonderful experience. And often, that's why I got into this, right? I want to hear the rock and roll or whatever it is at the best of its capability. And that's fun. And you want to crank it. It sounds so good now. It doesn't have to be audiophile music that, is weird or you're unfamiliar with, that doesn't connect with you, emotionally or whatever. You want to hear stuff that, oh my gosh, I never heard that before in that recording that I'm familiar with. So yeah, I think that a lot of the audio salons need to play music that their customer is familiar with, not just play what they think is going to make this system sound good. I understand that, but really what's going to turn them on is to play music that their customer is familiar with and has never heard to that degree. So then Copilot says, it seems like the audiophile world is at a crossroads, balancing tradition with accessibility. And I concur with that. So then I asked, can you explain more about industry gatekeeping? Absolutely. Industry gatekeeping in the audiophile world refers to the barriers that prevent newcomers from fully engaging with high-end audio. Here are some ways it manifests. Elitism in audio shops. Some high-end retailers dismiss customers who aren't willing to spend thousands of dollars on equipment, making it hard for budget-conscious enthusiasts to access quality sound. And again, I have heard that so much more in the last, I don't know, let's say 10 years than I ever heard it before. You don't want to walk into an audio store and feel snubbed, right? And again, long term, this customer may be good for you, and he has friends too. So you want to treat them. You want to treat them with respect, and you want to offer them service as well, and make it a benefit and something that they want to come back to and or refer you to. And you probably have some little tips and or accessories that would be beneficial to their existing system. Another says limited musical representation. The industry often prioritizes classical and jazz recordings, sidelining genres like rock, hip hop, and electronic music, which alienates younger listeners. Again, yeah, we talked about this a little. There's the manufacturer Key Audio of Key Audio loudspeakers. They do a really good job of playing modern music that that the younger crowd is familiar with, and in doing so, they select recordings, mainly electronic recordings that are done really well. So they are not only fun to listen to and familiar to listen to, but they show off the hi-fi fidelity really well. Another listing under gatekeeping is technical overload. Many audiophile discussions focus heavily on specifications rather than the emotional experience of music, making it intimidating for newcomers. Again, audio salons that do this are just missing out and losing out. You don't want to overwhelm or go over the head of a customer. You want to talk with them, not down to them. And they're, somebody new isn't going to even understand the specifications. And if you ask me, most of these specifications are meaningless anyway. We tend to focus in the audiophile world on so many specifications that don't mean a thing, and do not focus on the specifications that mean so much. Again, talking about acoustics. We don't talk about that. And that's really what's so darn important, not the frequency response of the speakers or whatever. And then it also lists price barriers. The cost of high-end audio gear has skyrocketed, making it difficult for new enthusiasts to enter the space. And yeah, we did talk about that one. This gatekeeping can make the audiophile world feel exclusive rather than welcoming. I agree with that. So then I ask, what contributes to the high cost? Several factors contribute to the high cost of audiophile equipment, and it lists premium materials. High-end audio gear often uses rare and expensive materials like beryllium for tweeters and monocrystal silver for cables, which enhance sound but drive up costs. Precision engineering. Components are manufactured with extreme precision, sometimes tested individually rather than in batches, ensuring optimal performance. Artisanal craftsmanship. Many high-end speakers and amplifiers are handcrafted by skilled artisans, adding to their exclusivity and price. Research and development. Leading audio brands invest heavily on R&D to push the boundaries of acoustic technology, which is reflected in the final costs. Brand prestige. Some brands command higher prices due to their reputation and heritage in the audiophile community. It's a mix of science, craftsmanship, and exclusivity that makes audiophile gear so expensive. Now, I appreciate the whole idea of getting better sound and the R&D and the costs of R&D. The technology that's available now that didn't exist before, the materials that, because of the technology that's available now that it wasn't before, and the fact that this is expensive, so it's limited edition, or going to be limited sales, but if it is improving the performance of the gear, then I'm all for it. But let's just try and keep the price relative and not try and just be looking at the bottom line and how much can we get for the equipment. And I appreciate the fact that, so many of the brands are just small, family operations. And so they're handmade one by one. They're maybe made to order. They are not Sony or Panasonic. And so all of that you're going to pay for, but hopefully appreciate for. So the prestige part of it, that kind of bugs me. When I'm looking at product, at pricing a product, I'm trying to look at the margin. What above what costs are associated, and what do I need to profit in order to continue. But what's very difficult to include in there is manufacturing costs and R&D. Some R&D is expensive, especially if you're doing repeated tests. That can be expensive, and you don't know ahead of time how much the R&D is going to be. So then the other products that you're selling need to have that profitability in there so that you can do more R&D. And that's something I learned kind of the hard way, I think, early on in developing products for myself. So lastly, I asked Copilot, how do we attract younger people to the audiophile industry? And it said, attracting younger people to the audiophile industry requires a shift in approach. Here are some strategies. And it says, affordable entry-level gear. High-end audio can be intimidating due to cost. Brands should offer budget-friendly options that still deliver great sound. Well, I think that there is wonderful entry-level gear available now that, when I was young, decades ago, that wasn't so much the case. You can get really nice speakers and amplifiers, and think about how fantastic a CD player is for $100. It's an amazing piece of gear for that kind of money. So I think you can go to Best Buy and buy some pretty satisfying equipment at pretty low, pretty affordable costs. Then it lists modern music representation. Audiophile culture often prioritizes classical and jazz. Embracing popular genres like hip-hop, electronic, and indie rock can make the hobby more appealing. Agreed, and we did talk about that. You don't want to play something that your customer isn't going to be listening to, right? So play something that they are going to listen to, and that they will be then excited because they're hearing more and more information with better fidelity than they ever did before. And then it says social media and influencers. Younger audiences engage with content through platforms like TikTok and YouTube. Collaborating with influencers who showcase high quality sound can spark interest. Agreed. And I think that we are beginning to see, at these trade shows, I see some young YouTubers now. This is wonderful. It's great. It'll take a little time for them to get experience and more professional, educated and better listeners, as far as, experienced ears is what I'm referring to. But I am seeing that, and I totally welcome this. This is what's going to help our industry attract younger people as the older people are passing away. And then it lists this, which I hadn't thought of and completely agree with: gaming and streaming integration. Many young people experience audio through gaming and streaming. Highlighting how audiophile-grade equipment enhances these experiences can be a strong selling point. Totally agree with this. My son has exposed me to, just check it out, Dad. Check out the audio in this game. And I have been blown away with the fidelity. the time, the care that these games give to audio, the soundtrack, the special effects, the ambiance in a surround sound system rather than earbuds is just amazing. So yes, this is really cool. I think a lot of gamers have no idea how much more realistic the game can be when you play it through a really good sound system rather than just some earbuds or not very good headphones. So that's a really good idea. And then lastly, it says community engagement, creating welcoming spaces both online and offline where newcomers can learn without feeling judged is crucial. And we did cover this a bit too. You want to invest some time thinking, in long term, and you want to make your customer feel welcome and comfortable by not talking over their head or talking down to them. Very important. And again, I've heard this many times with people telling me that this is their experience. This is not cool. Not what I experienced growing up as a kid. I started going to hi-fi shops when I had a paper route. They knew that I wasn't going to be buying anything high-end, but still they were, but I did eventually. And in the meantime, I was buying accessories or audiophile recordings or whatever. So, yes, I think that people are missing out by judging people and how much they are going to spend in the moment. So, and then it says, some industries like Gibson guitars have successfully marketed to younger audiences by tapping into their interests. The audiophile world could take inspiration from these strategies. Now, I don't know what Gibson has done. I'll have to look into it and see if there's some ways that we can incorporate their marketing strategies for the audiophile world. We certainly need to. We need to do all that we can to make younger people more welcome and interested in audiophile if we want to keep our industry going. So hope you enjoyed this and that you'll like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.